Those two separate moments did not need to happen, period. A young black man by the name of Elijah McClain was killed while being obtained and arrested by the police. Now, he was, of course, beaten and hurt savagely by the police, but then he later on died in the hands of paramedics at the hospital. So there is new protests that have sparked up because of Elijah McClain's case. Now, there have been a lot of people that have been protesting because they wanted to get justice for Elijah. Because of how he died, was very suspect. A 911 call was made with reports of a man in a ski mask acting suspiciously, walking down the street. Elijah was wearing a full-on ski mask, covering everything except for his eyes. He was on his way back home. This 911 call came in. These police officers came up to answer that particular call. They approached him. They basically, I'm going to jump through all the gritty details, but through them arresting him, something happened where he said the three magical words, "I can't breathe." Through a physical altercation between him and the cops, they put a chokehold on him, making him pass out. The paramedics pulled up. They shot him with ketamine, apparently more than what he was supposed to be getting.
It was over a therapeutic amount, they said.
A therapeutic amount, allegedly, but it was way more than what his body weight is supposed to be taking. So then, yes, he later on went into a cardiac arrest. He went to the hospital where he later died. Now, there, of course, is a lot of other things that happened in the middle of all this. There's body cam footage. The cops were savages, man. In my personal opinion, they were treating him in such a way. You can clearly see that this was an eccentric man. There's an eccentric young man. I think he was on the spectrum. If I'm going to be completely honest, I think he was on the spectrum. There's a lot of footage that was shown or that is out there where the cops are trying to angle the body cam away from things so that they don't get captured. There's a lot of things that are being said to Elijah while he is being kneeled upon, and all that. It is really, really crazy, and it's terrible, and it's heart-wrenching, and I'm not about to play any of the footage because it breaks my heart every time I hear the video. But there was a vigil just yesterday where people came together, a whole bunch of people who, string players, violins, cellos, violas, got together and they did a peaceful violin vigil for Elijah McClain. Now, Elijah was an avid violin player. In fact, he would go and play the violin at animal shelters because he felt that the cats and the animals were lonely. So he would go over there and play the violin for them. This was a gentle human being. This was a gentle man. And the way he died was so unbelievably wrong and so unjust. So people came together to do a violin vigil in behalf and in solidarity and in protest of Elijah McClain. And somehow this violin vigil, this peaceful violin vigil, turned and cops began to spray these violinists and these musicians with pepper spray. Here we go.
No, 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 no. You've got.
It was a peaceful vigil. It was a peaceful gathering, and it turned into just absolute chaos.
And that exact dynamic replayed itself in Aurora, Colorado at the site of a protest and a vigil in honor of McClain on Saturday. People congregated to pay tribute to him, to call for accountability for his death, and to play their violins in his honor. And then Aurora police basically recreated the dynamic of his death. Police in riot gear came into the crowd, and look what happened. Police claim they advanced when people pushed down a fence and tore plywood off store windows, threw water bottles at officers. The Aurora mayor has now called for a special meeting of the city council tomorrow. But when you see that video, those folks in riot gear descending upon a peaceful protest, it's not some isolated incident. We keep seeing this kind of thing time and time again in the wake of George Floyd's death and protests over and over. Police deploying levels of force and coercion and violence completely excessive to the needs of the moment. And all of that is having a day-by-day cumulative effect on the public's opinion on policing.
I just hate when I see the woman screaming, no, 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 no. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we're not here to do anything bad. We're just playing music. You know, of course, there are people in the background that are protesting and saying what they need to say. Of course, but it's a peaceful gathering. Beautiful music's being played. Music that Elijah would have enjoyed. Music that... I know I keep saying it over and over and over again, but I just keep wondering when these things are going to stop. And when people are going to actually start listening to each other. It's heart-wrenching, especially when you hear that kind of story. Then when you see the video, and like I said, I'm not going to play it here because I'll lose it. But if you hear what he's saying, and those are his last words, it's just heavy. And then you got people who came together just to play music on behalf of him. And you got to shoot him down with pepper spray and rubber bullets?
I mean, it looks like something out of 1984. I mean, just to be totally blunt. It's like a bunch of people peacefully together playing classical music. And then this heavily armed mob, all dressed in black, shows up like they're infiltrating like Osama bin Laden's bunker or something.
Yeah.
For people playing violin music?
Yeah.
What the hell are we doing? What are we? Where are we?
This is America.
Yeah, but like, I mean, if you're one of those guys, I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of one of those guys that's decked out in like 40 pounds of armor or however much those guys are in. At what point don't you just like kind of look back on yourself and be like, you know, am I the bad guy here? I might be playing on the wrong team. I might be doing some evil.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you not have that level of self-reflection where it's like these people are playing violin and I'm moving in like tactical military gear to break this up? I mean, at some point you have to have some level of self-awareness where you like look at yourself and be like, I think I'm playing for the wrong team.
Yeah.
Just following orders.
It makes you wonder, like, when does somebody, like, do these guys ever feel like they go home, take off their riot gear, take off that shield, pull out the cold one, sit back, crack it open, kick their feet up and go, I did good today. I wonder if they ever have any moments of self-reflection, of realizing like, no, I'm a piece of, like, what I did was trashy. What I did was not right. Do these people have any sense of having any sort of conscience? It's beyond me. When you got something that's peaceful, that was peaceful, y'all. How does it have to go from beautiful music being played, people honoring Elijah McClain, to that, to pepper spray and rubber bullets?
What was the reasoning? Someone outside of the park at a storefront took off plywood from a store, so they stormed the park. That was the reason.
I mean, it's just freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's nuts.
here's what's going to happen. They send these people in all decked out like they're going to war, and
Yep.
they are. They're going to war with peaceful protesters.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen here, and we saw it, you know, a few years back in Dallas. Cops are going to get killed because of this. Like, if you really care about cops and their well-being and safety, you have to realize that when they do stuff like this, and I'm not saying all cops are bad, but when you see cops do stuff like this, they're putting other cops' lives in danger, because to a casual observer, that looks like a military force descending on a peaceful crowd. And people are going to respond. People who maybe don't have their mindset right are going to respond, and they're going to kill police officers that didn't have anything to do with this, that maybe are good cops. But we haven't seen the retaliation yet, but we will. And there are going to be cops that die because of this. So if you really care about cops, you better hope they stop doing stuff like this, because there's going to be retaliation.
You know what's very frustrating to me? That we have to see this kind of stuff happen. That we have to witness that type of ridiculous display. Because here's the thing. We all, of course, want things to... Most people want things to have an even balance. You know, we all understand to a certain extent that when we're in trouble, we need somebody like a police officer there to save us. I fully understand that. I understand that there's certain moments that we do need police officers to step in. You know, it's kind of like we understand the necessity of having firefighters, the necessity of having doctors and you know, paramedics, etc. But then you see moments like this, and it makes you feel like, what is the point? Are they really here for the good? It puts hate in your heart. And I can see why somebody would be angry. Some of those people that were there would be extremely angry if you see men and women, police officers that are walking out looking like stormtroopers up in this piece, looking like they're about to get shot off into space, ready to rock and roll. When all these people are doing is sitting there and doing something peaceful, guys. That was a peaceful vigil. Peaceful. That was not an angry mob. By you guys coming in that way, but by the police walking in that way, it gives off a different vibe. Now you're just poking a sleeping bear. Why would you do that? Don't you see that those people that are up there playing music, beautiful music, and everyone's sitting and listening to them in honor of Elijah, in honor of his death? They weren't out there doing anything. They weren't out there throwing rocks. They weren't out there doing anything. It was peaceful.
I can't get over the fact that they drugged him with ketamine against his will. What? I mean, this is why people want to defund the police, because the police totally bungled that situation. Could not have handled it any worse. I mean, I'm talking with Elijah. They messed up that as bad as you could possibly mess up anything. What they needed in that situation was a social worker who understood how to deal with somebody who, you know, maybe had some psychological issues, who was not, you know, a real threat. You don't just drug a guy with ketamine. That's a club drug. But we're going to start like putting LSD in people during interrogations now. We're going to start doing like MK Ultra stuff when we bring people in. It's unbelievable to me that happened. But then you see what else the Aurora police are doing when they're showing up at this violin concert and spraying people and beating them.
You know,
I mean, that entire police department needs to be shut down.
I've listened to and watched the video of Elijah, the moments that led up to his death. Do you know that this man was doing his best to comply? Do you know that? F it. Do you know that during the time that they were choking him, he began to vomit? He threw up several times. And each occasion, one of the cops said, "Hey, man, get that away from my shoes."
Jesus.
They threw him on the ground, and as he's vomiting, convulsing from the vomit, fighting to breathe, fighting to get a breath, as he's saying all those things of, "I can't breathe, you know, I'm just a little different, I love you guys." He was saying all these things. He was saying all of these things, man. One of the cops has the audacity to say to him, "You keep moving, I'm sicking my dog on you and he's going to bite you." These are the things that are being said throughout this entire thing, throughout this entire body cam situation that is capturing his death. Then we click fast forward a year later where he has not been justified for his death at all. At all. These wonderful, beautiful people out here just playing beautiful music. These barbarians of cops come out and have the audacity to spray people, innocent, peaceful people, with pepper spray and shoot them with rubber bullets. What in the hell is going on here? This ain't Chop. This ain't Chaz, y'all. This was not a riot. And yet, that stuff is passable. That stuff is okay. That's when it's okay. That's when the cops can go act a damn fool. That's justified. Where's the justification in that? A man who's screaming out, pleading for his life. A man who might be a little eccentric, might be a little different, yet you don't approach him in a specific way. Training might be needed when it comes to those things. When he's saying, "I'm a little different, I'm introverted, please understand," he's saying those things. He's pleading for his life. He's on his chest. He's already arrested, and he's saying, "I can't breathe," and he's saying, "I love you guys, please, no, I can't, no." He's saying all these things, just spitting it out like it's just like it's verbal diarrhea because he's just trying to fight for his life. You guys have the audacity to say, "Hey, he's vomiting, not on my shoes. I'm gonna sick the dogs on you if you don't stop moving." The man's not moving. He can't breathe. See, and that's the thing. It's like, what's beyond me is that it took so long for that case to be reopened, because now Colorado finally is reinvestigating that particular case, but it was swept under the rug. No one gave a damn about that. Just another kid being suspicious And the funny thing is if you see the other footage of him actually at the store, him buying whatever he was buying, I think he was just buying some Gatorades or something like that. Yeah, he had the mask on. I mean, he was literally being kind. He paid in cash. He turned to the guy behind him as he's getting his whatever he was getting from the the gas station. He bowed to the guy out of thanks, and he walked out the door. Where was he being suspicious? Walking down the street. He was walking down the street. Where is he being suspicious? And yet he can't even have a decent vigil. You guys don't even give him the decency of that. This is the reason why people are saying defund the police. Moments like that. Exactly what Tom just said. These are the moments when we go, maybe we need to reorganize how we pay, where the money really is going. Because those two separate moments did not need to happen. Period.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.